The number you have dialed is not in service. Please check the number and try your call again. Thank you.
I was just checking. You're there?
Yes, can you hear us, Dr. Fuller?
Yes, I'm here.
Great,
I'm all ready. Yeah. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. This is the regular joint meeting of the Oakley City Council. Oakley City Council acting as the successor agency to the Oakley Redevelopment Agency, Oakley Public Financing Authority. This meeting is called to order at 6:30 p.m. Councilmember Dr. George Fuller will join via teleconference, and his location is the Hilton Garden Inn, Philadelphia Center, City Room 973, 1100 Arch Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania 19107. I will now call roll. Councilmember Henderson?
Here.
Councilmember Fuller?
Here.
Councilmember Meadows?
Here.
Vice Mayor Shaw? Here. And I am the mayor, Anissa Williams, present. We will now have the Pledge of Allegiance recited by Daniel Adair. This is Daniel Adair. He attends 8th grade at Delta Vista Middle School. He is on the Principal's Honor Roll and is a member of the California Junior Scholarship Federation, CJSF. CJSF is an organization that fosters high standards of scholarship, service, and citizenship in the middle school grades. CJSF emphasizes service to the school and the community while encouraging pride in scholastic achievement. As part of his service projects for the school, he helps cleaning up the classrooms and school grounds, makes cards for military members and seniors in the community. Daniel likes school because he gets to learn new things and make new friends. His favorite subjects are math and drama. He enjoys singing, and his hobby is theater. He performed in 3 shows with Pittsburgh Community Theater: Elf Jr., Little Mermaid, and Frozen. He takes advanced drama class at his school. He also enjoys traveling. Last October, he traveled to the East Coast with his school. He visited Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Virginia, and New York. He learned a lot about American history during the trip. His favorite part of the trip was going to New York City, where he got to see Times Square and The Lion King on Broadway.
Now, let us begin the Pledge of Allegiance, everyone. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I should have just stayed standing, but we are now going to present a proclamation recognizing April 7th through the 13th, 2024 as National Library Week, and also receive an update from Oakley Library Manager Lisa Cano-Loomis. If you can meet me at the podium. All right, proclamation for National Library Week, April 7th through the 13th, 2024. Whereas libraries offer the opportunity for everyone to connect with others, learn new skills, and pursue their passions no matter where they are on life's journey. And whereas libraries serve as trusted institutions striving to ensure equitable access to information and services for all members of the community. And whereas libraries are accessible and inclusive places that promote a sense of local connection and shared community goals. And whereas libraries play a pivotal role in economic development by providing resources and support for job seekers, entrepreneurs, and small businesses, thus contributing to local prosperity and growth. And whereas libraries are an essential public and fundamental in democratic societies, working to protect the right to education and literacy and promote the free exchange of information and ideas. And whereas library workers are joining library supporters and advocates across the nation to celebrate National Library Week. Now, therefore, it be resolved that I, Anissa Williams, Mayor of the City of Oakley, along with the members of the Oakley City Council, hereby proclaim National Library Week, April 7th through the 13th, 2024. During this week, all residents are encouraged to visit our library and celebrate adventures and opportunities they unlock for us every day.
Thank you. Thank you very much for recognizing. Oh. Yeah. Thank you for recognizing National Library Week and the importance of libraries and library workers. I encourage everyone to visit the library, follow us on social media, tell your friends, check out books, visit us, talk to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna try it and see, hopefully I'll be able to do it this time. So, hello, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council members. I am Lisa Connell Loomis. I'm the manager of the Oakley Library. It's a branch of the Contra Costa County Library System. Today I'm gonna cover three main topics. One is a short review of the past year for the library system as a whole. Then I'll talk a little about the Oakley Library specifically, and then I'll wrap up by discussing how the community would benefit from a bigger library. So Contra Costa County Library saw an increase in circulation of 15% from fiscal year 22 to fiscal year 23, meaning people checked out more from the library, including materials such as books, music CDs, DVDs, magazines, audiobooks, STEAM kits, Wi-Fi hotspots, Stories to Go kits, ukuleles, California State Park passes, and Outdoor Explorer backpacks. Contra Costa County Libraries also saw an increase of 22% for ebook checkouts over the same time period. Sorry, that's not presenting correctly. Overall, library visits increased. In-person visits increased 38%, and virtual visits increased 21%. Here are the most popular books of 2023. Even though we talk about libraries being more than just books, that doesn't mean that books aren't still relevant. Reading books benefits your mind and body. It can reduce stress, strengthen your brain, and build vocabulary. Books promote empathy and allow us to understand other people, even people different than ourselves. There's also the pure enjoyment and entertainment value of reading. Books take you to places you have never been before. Last year, we introduced a new all-electric early literacy outreach van called the Rolling Reader. The van provides new books and literacy activities for young children in underserved communities, excuse me, with the goal of introducing them to books and reading at an early age. Research shows that creating positive experiences with books sets the stage for a child's success in learning to read. Literacy skills are also a strong predictor of health, employment status, and overall success in life. This past July, the library celebrated 3 new graduates from our career online high school program. The program provides an opportunity for adults to earn an accredited high school diploma for free through a partnership of Contra Costa County Library, the California State Library, and Smart Horizons Career Online Education. In 2023, we celebrated the formation of the Library Foundation of Contra Costa. Its goal is to support the library's need for more funding to support its mission and to address the equity gaps in funding that exist amongst the 26 library branches. The LFCC will help build and refresh libraries, fund new technologies and digital resources, and provide additional program funding for people of all ages. Now I'll talk a little bit about what's been happening at the Oakley Library. So here are the winners of our first bookmark art contest. We were impressed by all the talented artists who submitted creative designs based on one of 2 themes, the celebration of reading and the celebration of science. These beautiful bookmarks are available for free to pick up at the Oakley Library. The Oakley Library was very busy, steaming up spring break. We offered 1 program a day for 2 weeks. The programs were science, technology, engineering, art, and math related. There was cartoon drawing and animal sketching with Mr. Abe. There was Mexican tin art, rockets, owl pellets, snakes, Legos, and bubbles. Families packed the library to see Sterling the Bubblesmith blow bubbles with his hands, as well as with hoops, loops, and other contraptions. Kids and adults were amazed to be enveloped in life-size bubbles. During the Lindsay and the Community Presents Scales and Tales, families got to meet some scary and crawly animals, including the snake in the picture, the big one in the middle. Families learned about owls and got up close and personal with owl pellets during East Bay Regional Park Presents Hootin' Habitats. During our Rockets Away program, kids got to design and build their own paper-based duct tape rockets. Then they took the rockets outside to see how high they would go using our air-powered rocket launcher. Once a month, we have a fun program for neurodivergent children and families called Sensory Playtime, where they play, craft, and read. This program has been well received. One parent posted on our Facebook page saying, "As a parent of 2 neurodivergent kiddos, please know how much we appreciate you doing this. Keep it up and thank you." For those with sensory processing disorders that might make coming to the library challenging, we're excited to announce our brand new sensory backpack. It has calming tools such as a weighted lap blanket, fidget toys, headphones, and a wobble cushion to use during their visit. Now I'd like to address how the community would benefit from a bigger library. So libraries are a 3rd space. We have our first space at home, our second space at work. 3rd spaces are places outside of home and work like cafes, clubs, bookstores, and libraries. 3rd spaces bring people together and strengthen communities. They are informal spaces where random and intentional in-person relationships are made. Libraries are one of the last places you can go with no expectation to buy anything. You don't need to pay to attend a movie night, a live music performance, a magic show, do some laser cutting or 3D printing, or any of the myriad programs and services that libraries provide. But to be a good 3rd space, you need space. Libraries are welcoming and safe spaces. Libraries build community. Libraries promote literacy and learning. In a bigger library, we could do what we do, but do it better and for more people. There could be different areas for a variety of ages, interests, and activities. There could be space for more seating and a mixture of seating and work surfaces. There could be quieter spaces and noisier spaces and spaces to get messy. There could be space for solo activities and group activities. There would be more flexibility in the schedule, meaning we could offer programs for seniors and have a place for teens to hang out and have, we could have programs for seniors, have a place for teens to hang out, and have story time happening all at the same time. We wouldn't have to choose one over the other. In a bigger library, each activity would have its own space. A bigger library would allow space for partnerships with county, city, and other institutions to bring services and assistance to the community. The space would be inclusive and ADA accessible. A library located here in the city center would be a boost to the local economy because when people spend time at the library, they spend money at nearby businesses. Sorry, it's not presenting well, this PowerPoint. Oakley children and families would benefit from a better, dedicated, and inviting space that would include things such as space for story times and class visits, interactive tables and toys that promote imaginative play and early literacy, maker spaces, and homework help. In many communities today, there aren't many places for teens to hang out. That's why Oakley teens need an exciting, bigger, and dedicated teen area where they can take advantage of programs that allow them to discover, be creative, have fun, and grow. Boston Public Library's Teen Central is a great example of this, and that's where the picture comes from. A larger library would have space for group study rooms and meeting rooms for educational, cultural, and community-related meetings, programs, and activities. The Friends of the Oakley Library could have a larger space to store and sell donated books to raise funds to support library programs, performances, and special events for the community, as well as provide books for the summer reading program, craft supplies, STEAM and 3D printing supplies, Legos, and so much more. With a larger library, the Oakley community would benefit from endless possibilities. It would be a unifying space for the whole community, including seniors, youth, and veterans. A new larger library and community center in Oakley would revitalize the city center and draw people downtown to live, work, and play. I'm open to questions.
Councilmember Meadows.
Can you go back to slide 14, please? Sorry.
Let's see. In this one.
That one. See that wall on the left?
Yes.
What's that wall?
I believe that their donor names there. That's the Pleasant Hill Library.
Yeah, I figured that. I kind of got I could see enough of it. I just want to point out that wall.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it'll take to help get a library here.
Councilmember Fuller, do you have any questions on the phone?
No, thank you for the presentation and look forward to working with you. I like what's on our webpage. We now have a diagram of either the library or the civic center with the library, and I think that's something that we can begin envisioning in our minds. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. All right, moving on to item 2, public comments. At this time, public comments will be heard for items not on the agenda. I have public speaker cards submitted. Anybody else who wants to submit a public comment, please complete a blue speaker card located in the lobby and submit it to the city clerk. The time limit to speak is 3 minutes. The time limit is monitored by the timer located in front of my seat. When 1 minute remains on the timer, it will beep once as a reminder to complete comments before your time expires. Please refrain from any applause, cheering, booing, or other outbursts so that everyone may have an opportunity to be heard. Note that due to provisions of state law, the council is not allowed to engage in dialogue regarding comments. Staff may be directed to respond to persons making public comments. We also did receive one which will be entered into the public record that a speaker did not wish to speak. All right, our first speaker is Richard Brophy.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Richard Brophy. I've been a resident of Oakley since 1992. And last month, I was here. Unfortunately, I didn't fit the time frame, but I provided you all with irrefutable evidence, uncontrovertible evidence about the unconscionable burden brought on our country by illegal immigration. These statistics are not by some political affiliation. They're by the federal government. Additionally, the illegal aliens are drawn to sanctuary cities where they are allowed to place an unconscionable burden on the taxpayer and are committing crimes at a disproportionate percentage related to the population. Anytime you turn on the TV, you're going to see a problem with an illegal alien attacking some citizen or attacking a law enforcement officer because they have absolutely no regard for our laws. Not all of them, but enough of them to where we need to be concerned. Just today, 125,000 illegal aliens were transported to San Diego. How were they going to, I was a trustee in a church once, and my answer to everything was, how are you going to pay for it? You're not. You're going to have to raise taxes in an already highly taxed state. So until we can remove via the ballot box those who have a rather cavalier approach to enforcing our laws, we're basically on our own. Oakley is not a sanctuary city, for the record, and what I'm asking is that the city council make a public proclamation that Oakley, and reaffirm that they are not a sanctuary city, and that Oakley immediately amend our website on page 1 to indicate that Oakley is not a sanctuary city, that we are a city that obeys the law. I'd like to leave this information with you. I obviously made it within 3 minutes this time. And I'd like to leave you with the convictions by type, and I'd also like to leave you with your oath of allegiance. Am I done? Oh, I'd like to leave you with this, and I hope that you'll refer to this before you vote, and I'd like you to make that vote public so that we can see who really took this oath of office seriously. I thank you for your consideration.
Bud Chaddick, you did not have an item number, but I'm assuming it's for, okay, perfect, great, come on up.
Hello, City Council, Mayor Anessa Williams. Once again, I'm here it's spring. We got some time to do something about it. Next fall, we'll have a salmon spawn again. I figured 1,000 fish got poached out of the creek last year. 1,000, that could be said one way or the other. I'm going by when I count 50 one day, they're gone that afternoon. When I count 25, they're gone that afternoon. I've been down there walking the beat, if you would, to see it. It's very serious. Our numbers are down. We're not going to have a commercial or sport fishing season once again. It's shut down. I know a lot of people that are affected by this, really bad. And having the lawlessness with it doesn't help. So I want to thank Mayor Williams for helping out and reaching out to me and looking up some data and doing some footwork that way, because it is more serious than people realize. We're basically allowing this to become an extinction issue rather than taking care of it and turning our heads the way I look at it. But anyways, there has been a few people getting together on this, trying to, do some things, some positive talks, some meetings I've been to. But it's just, again, I want to thank Anessa. And earlier, George Fuller made a couple comments in one way about it. But she's done her homework and looked up a few things that justifies doing something more than we're doing. It's when you see 1,000 go down to 0, and there's not one ticket given or one citation, or one more fish getting back into the system that it belongs in, especially after we've done this beautiful work in this creek, making this connection with the delta again, which allows proper spawning again. And to let it go for naught, I don't think that's the right direction to go right now, but it's spring, fall's coming, I want to say September, November, December, no, September, October, November are going to be paramount in patrolling that and making sure that some fines are handed out. Just possession alone is a fine, period. There should be no discussion or plea bargaining on such an item, especially when there's people out of work because of it and people losing their businesses. $500,000 fishing boats are being lost right and left due to this. And that'd be like the equivalent of someone knocking down a small business here and it disappears. Because I know some people that make some really good money doing that when it's right and they do it in a lawful way. So any help there? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item 3, council member comments. Councilmember Meadows.
I'd just like to ask, where's Fish and Game? Wait, but if you're going to answer, you got to answer up top, but I don't know if you can. So, but you can tell me later.
All right, anybody else have council member comments? Councilmember Fuller, do you have any council member comments?
Yes, first on the letter from the citizen, I don't have his name and I won't name it right now anyway, but on the reporting on the encampment on the Laurel overpass by the 160, I'm commenting because I recently asked City Manager McMurray about the situation, and he reminded me it's in the city of Antioch. So just to be aware of that, we are looking at it, I am sure, but it's in city of Antioch area and their responsibility. I also would like to commend Philadelphia. I'm here on the AERA conference I'm presenting. The reason I bring it up is Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania has the reputation of the most accessible city for disabled persons. But right behind them is Philadelphia, and I just want to say it's being a disabled person that they are very welcoming and accessible. So I wanted to include that in. So thank you.
I just have one comment. There was recently Governor Newsom did a report on the snowpack. And while he was reporting on, we've had these record levels the last couple years, he said that water is still a huge issue for California as a whole. And in that article, and in several subsequent articles, he did vow to bring back the Delta Conveyance Project in his water plan. So I know that's something that we as a council and our residents are against. So I just wanted people to be aware that that's coming back around, so. That's later. All right, we are now moving on to the consent calendar. Before we discuss what items need to be pulled, item 4.4 will be continued to, do we have a date known?
Hopefully our next meeting.
Okay, so if anybody was gonna pull 4.4, it's off this calendar for right now. That being said, does anybody have any items they wish to pull?
4.2.
4.1.
I wanted to pull 4.6. All right, we'll go in order. 4.1. Oh, sorry. Do I have a motion to move the rest? Thank you.
Move approval of the rest of the items on the consent calendar.
Second.
And we need to do a roll call vote on that, correct? Okay. Will you call roll?
Councilmember Meadows,
Aye.
Dr. Fuller,
Aye.
Councilmember Henderson,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shaw,
Aye.
Mayor Williams.
Yes.
The remainder of the consent calendar passes unanimously.
All right, so 4.1.
So I read through the changes that were proposed, and I also went back and rewatched the last meeting where some of these changes were suggested, and I'm noticing that some of the proposed changes are even further beyond what was suggested at the last meeting. I have no problem changing the spelling of Dave Wall's last name to W-A-H-L opposed to W-A-L-L, but I believe that the minutes were detailed as they could have been, and if we change based on what one of the comments at the last meeting is what I meant to say was, and I think that that's a slippery slope to start doing, because we all get up here and we say things and we have an idea of what we're going to say, and maybe it doesn't come out exactly that way, but if we keep going back and changing on what was meant to be said or what they were referencing, I think that's a problem for me, and we have talked about changing minutes before, and so I am not supporting any other changes.
Okay, so if we wanted to move this item to keep the original changes except for the spelling error on Dave Wall's last name, we would just motion that, is that correct?
Yes, I believe you could do that with rejecting all other changes other than Dave Wall.
Okay.
Hey, I'm sorry, can you explain that?
So maybe I can explain. If it's the pleasure of the council to approve the amended minutes with the amendments shown in red, then the council can simply make a motion to approve the amendments or to approve the minutes as amended. If it's the pleasure of the council to go back to the previous version that was considered at your last meeting, then the motion can be to approve the minutes without the changes shown in red. And if a third option is if there's a change that you do accept, which is the gentleman's name, then you can make a motion to approve as originally drafted without the changes except for the gentleman's name. Did I just make it much more confusing?
No, you explained it for me as well. Of course, I'd be opposed to moving them back. I disagree. The meeting minutes should be detailed. They should be correct. I was asked to put what my words were in writing. I did so. Nobody asked for word verbatim. So this is a good summary of what I said, and it is accurate. To not include them would be a disservice to the community. We rely on the minutes, despite whatever anybody thinks. When we need corrections, they need to be corrected. I've seen it go on for a couple of meetings, 2 or 3 meetings to get it correct, but we just can't say, well, you didn't do it right, so we won't vote it out now because we won't go back and change the minutes because whatever they say is the first time, that's good enough. So I would oppose any of that. I will move that the minutes, as amended, be approved.
Okay, not seeing a second, that motion dies. Do we have another motion on the floor?
I make a motion to revert back to the original minutes from the last meeting with the exception of the name change from David Wall, W-A-L-L, to David Wall, W-A-H-L.
And I second that. Will you call roll?
Councilmember Meadows,
Aye.
Dr. Fuller,
No, and with the caveat that this amendment will be attached to these minutes, these meeting night minutes for next minutes. So I vote no.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shaw,
Yes.
Mayor Williams,
Yes.
The item passes 4-1.
4.2, I believe, Councilmember Fuller, you pulled that?
Yes, I did. I don't know if I pronounced it right or where or what, but under council member comments, I had said there was a good meeting between Iron House Sanitary District and Diablo Water. I meant to say, or did say, or I couldn't remember the name really, but it was the Randall, RANDALL hyphen bold BOLD water treatment plant and the Diablo Water District Board. If there's no other comments, I will move approval as amended.
I didn't hear the amendment. I didn't understand.
Under council member comments on 4.2, you'll see that I made that it's noted that I made a comment that there was a productive meeting between the Diablo Water District, and the way it reads now is the Iron House Sanitary District. In fact, it was the Randall. I don't know why the name was the way it is, but to have the name correctly on the minutes, which we should, it's the Randall, RANDALL hyphen bold water treatment plant. That would take the place of the Iron House Sanitary District comment. That should not be in there. That the Randall Bold water treatment plant would go in its place.
What page is this on?
It's right under item number 3, council member, actually, it's under item 3, council member comments. As you go down the items, and then Dr. Fuller commented that the council had a productive joint meeting with Iron House Sanitary District and Diablo Water District. Actually, that the council, the directors of the Diablo Water District met with.
Do you have a page
Randall,
number? Thank you.
Right.
It's on
Right.
page 23 of the full agenda.
Yeah, I have it. It's on the third page, middle of the page, in blue letters, 3 hyphen council member comments, and then the first and second line.
And you want to add Randall Bold in there?
No, they did not meet with Iron House Sanitary District. I don't know why that one appeared in there, and if it was my error or the notes were taken wrong, or I couldn't remember the district, or whatever it was. If it's me, I apologize, but that should read the Randall, RANDALL Bold Water Treatment District. And the council, when I say the council, it's the Diablo Water District Board of Directors Council. But it was not with the Iron House Sanitary District.
Well, we did meet with Iron House Sanitary District and Diablo Water District at Big Break Regional Park. Randall Bold,
Yeah.
Randall Bold is the water treatment plant off Neroli.
Yeah, all right.
I believe that was
Yes,
during
we've
council
met
member
before.
reports. That was during council member reports. I believe that Randall Bowles was brought up because we were getting a report regarding what had taken place at the DWD meeting. But I'm not seeing that under,
Yes.
what I see for here under the minutes for council member comments doesn't reflect, I don't see that same thing. Okay, do we have a motion on this item?
Well, I gave a motion.
Do we have a second for that motion? Okay, not seeing a second, that motion dies. Do we have anybody who would like to move 4.2?
I move
As written.
approval of 4.2.
Second.
All right, Libby, if you'll call the roll call, please.
Councilmember Meadows,
Aye.
Dr. Fuller,
No.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shaw,
Aye.
Mayor Williams.
Yes.
The item passes 4-1. Thank you.
Okay, and I pulled 4.6, not because I want to trick you into anything. I just like for the public to hear all the projects and to hear the report, just in case they're not able to go look through the agenda packet. So if you could just give a brief overview of all the great work that's happening and what's still to come as best to your ability.
Hey, thank you, Mayor Williams, Vice Mayor Shaw, members of the council. We have a lot of exciting capital improvement projects as outlined in the report. Our feature projects are basically on East Cypress Road and on Laurel Road. East Cypress Road, and I'll have a presentation to make later in the evening regarding our agreement with Contra Costa Water District. The construction of East Cypress Road projects are going to get underway in the near future. This has been a multi-year program that we've been working, and you will see construction of East Cypress Road from Knightson Avenue in an eastward direction, starting and over the next 2 to 3 years, all the way to Bethel Island Road. That would be a brand new roadway, standard city street basically, 4 lanes, medians, sidewalks, curb, gutter, underground drainage system, a very modern functional street with a number of traffic signals in its path. That is a project that, again, some parts of it has been already designed, awarded, contracted. The rest are under design. So you will hear a lot about East Cypress Road over the next 3 years. Our other important project is on Laurel Road near intersection with O'Hara. It's a project, as the council knows, we've been working for several years to acquire the right-of-way. Finally, we worked with the Del Barbo family, right-of-way was acquired, and that project is under design currently. There are some WAPA, those large utility poles that the Western Power Administration will be relocating over the next 2 to 3 months. And at your July meeting, I plan to present you a contract for award of construction, and hopefully upon your approval, come August, we would like to start the construction of Laurel Road. This basically completes the city part of Laurel Road from O'Hara to Cloverbrook, and also O'Hara Avenue from Laurel Road south to the end of the Del Barbo Vineyard, which is has been kind of a bottleneck for many, many years, and finally get that project improved. One of the benefits of Laurel Road and the timing, as you have seen, we have a exciting development in Oakley, the Safeway shopping center at the intersection of Laura and O'Hara. Our project and Safeway's project will complement each other, and I think both they understand they will start construction of their off-site work August, September, and we both move into New Year. So by kind of end of summer of next year, all of the off-site work on Laurel Road and O'Hara, traffic signal, the Safeway project, you'll see a major, major improvement in that area. Again, these are our major projects. We have a number of smaller projects still, as from my perspective, just as important of a multi-million-dollar project. These are projects to repair and replace a lot of damaged concrete. We have the cost share program where we actually do the full design construction of these projects, and we share the cost 50-50 with the respective property owners. That project is under construction right now. And we'll bring an acceptance report to you in the month of May. We have some other smaller projects, again, just as important. Our traffic calming projects are continuing, our traffic signal modernization. Another on the parks area, we'll be bringing you a contract for award at the Enrique Sanquini Park. This is a brand-new park at the intersection of Rose and Carpenter. It's going to be in a beautiful park, one of our most diverse and feature-rich parks. Have a water feature, playground, open space, picnic area, shade structure, a parking lot, and that project is under design right now. You'll see more about it as a part of our fiscal year 24-25 budget process. And again, our plan is to bring a contract for award in the fall. So again, we're addressing a number of needs in the community, both from facilities to parks to streets, and all parts in between. We're very active and busy on, again, multiple fronts.
Great, thank you. Anybody have any questions? I'll move approval of this item then.
Second.
All right, we have a first
Are
and
we
multiple
approving
seconds.
or accepting?
Accepting. Did you hear me, Councilmember Fuller? Accepting?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Yes. All right, will you call the roll call?
Councilmember Meadows,
Aye.
Dr. Fuller,
Aye.
Councilmember Henderson,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shaw,
Aye.
Mayor Williams.
Yes.
The item passes unanimously.
All right, we are moving on to item 5, public hearings. There are none. So we're moving on to item 6, our regular calendar. This is 6.1 is to approve a letter of support for Senate Bill 1034, SB 1034, regarding a California Public Record Act response extension during a declared state of emergency. This will be presented by our city clerk, Libby Veronis.
Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. The item before you is a letter of support for Senate Bill 1034, sponsored by Senator Sayarto with California's 32nd District, which is in the Palm Springs, Chino Hills, and Temecula regions. The city clerk for City of Chino Hills informed California clerks in February that their city proposed the bill and Senator Sayarto agreed to sponsor it. The California Public Records Act requires government records to be disclosed upon request unless an exemption would prevent disclosure. In general, a government agency has 10 days from receipt of a records request to determine if responsive records exist, if they may be disclosed, and to notify the requester of such. The agency does not have to produce the records during that time, but needs to provide the requester with a reasonable time when the records will become available. A 14-day extension is allowed to make a determination and respond to a requester when unusual circumstances exist. Unusual circumstances include to collect records from facilities separate from the office processing the request, to collect a voluminous amount of distinct and separate records in a single request, to consult with another agency with a substantial interest in the determination of the request, and to compile data or write programming language to construct a computer report. SB 1034 would expand unusual circumstances to include the need to search for, collect, appropriately examine, and copy records during a state of emergency proclaimed by the governor when the state of emergency has affected the agency's ability to timely respond to requests due to decreased staffing or closure of the agency's facilities. Legislative comments indicate that the proposed bill takes into consideration a situation such as the COVID-19 pandemic. The current legislation for the 14-day extension for unusual circumstances does not capture this type of situation. As experienced with many government agencies and other businesses, there was decreased staffing and office closures during the pandemic. This type of situation can create difficulty in collecting, examining, and responding to requests within a 10-day period. Therefore, the 14-day extension would provide more time for agencies to respond. Cal Cities hosted a city clerk legislative meeting on March 7th, during which this proposed bill was discussed. Cal City's position at that time was pending. However, it is my understanding that its position will be moving to a support position soon. There are specified circumstances set forth in the government code to proclaim a state of emergency. While typically these circumstances might include a pandemic or fire or flood, cyber attacks are also of concern, as the city of Oakley witnessed in February. Through communication with the City of Chino Hills and their communication with Senator Sayarto's office, staff did inquire if a friendly amendment might be considered to the proposed bill to also include when a local agency declares a state of emergency, such as during a cyber attack. While the amendment will not be considered with this bill, it is on the radar and something that we may wish to watch for in upcoming years. The proposed bill as written is a good step forward to allow agencies adequate response time during a state of emergency to respond to record requests. Therefore, staff recommends the City Council approve the letter of support. That concludes my report, and I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
All right, do we have any public comments on this item? All right, seeing none, do we have any questions or comments from the council? Councilmember Fuller, do you have any questions, comments?
I will have comments during discussion. I don't want to, it's not really a question.
Okay, this is the time where you can make any of your comments or discussions.
Okay, well, in that case, I would like to see what has been proposed before from local jurisdictions in the state, that the state reimburse us for the cost of PRA requests and then what we have to go through. I think PRA, Public Records Act requests have enlightened people within the state of California, has facilitated the press for accurate reporting. I know I've used them. We have a great city clerk and great city clerk's office that responds very accurately and graciously. The situation comes is it's a state mandated program. I think it's a good program, but I think, especially the way life is going in our post-pandemic times, that the state accepts the cost for what it means for the city clerk at the local level to retrieve these documents. It's not cheap. It's not inexpensive. It is a cost that we encumber. I do agree with what's going on. I agree with the letter, but I think we ought to tweak it and say that the state, in passing this amendment, should incur the cost for local jurisdictions to abide by it. Thank you.
All right, is there any other comments or discussion? Okay, do I have a motion?
Well, I'll move it with the caveat that we add the line, a sentence about incurring the cost.
I'm not seeing a second for that motion. Do I have an alternate motion?
I move that I move to approve a letter of support for Senate Bill 1034 as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a first and a second. Can you conduct the roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Meadows,
Aye.
Dr. Fuller,
Aye.
Councilmember Henderson,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shaw,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes.
The item passes unanimously.
All right, moving on to item 6.2, adopt a resolution approving the design and construction agreement with Contra Costa Water District for the canal undergrounding project, segment 5A on East Cypress Road at Jersey Island Road, associated with capital improvement project CIP number 310. This is being presented by Kevin Rohani, our Public Works Director / City Engineer.
Mayor Williams, Vice Mayor Shaw, members of the council, I'm very pleased to present you this report, which is a part of our ongoing conversation and the work the staff has been doing on East Cypress Road project. Since mid-December of last year, when the city officially took over the design and construction of East Cypress Road from a developer of Grand Cypress Preserve project, staff has been actively working to put the different parts of the project together and move it forward. Result of our work in last February, we brought you a contract for completing the design of the East Cypress Road at the Contra Costa Canal widening at Jersey Island. This is a very complex part of this roadway, in addition to multiple utilities that are crisscrossing that intersection. We have the Contra Costa Canal. And again, just another level of complexity, plus all the roadway widening. So with that, we continue to work on the project. Over the last month, actually over the past many months, we've been working, and we have reached agreement with our partner, Contra Costa Water District, regarding the undergrounding of the canal at the East Cypress Road. Again, this is, as you've seen, Contra Costa Water District has been undergrounding the open canal all the way behind Cypress Grove neighborhood, Emerson Ranch, Delaney Park, and it's almost to the north of the East Cypress Road. Last year, the Contra Costa Water District also undergrounded a large section of the canal that's from south of East Cypress Road all the way to Rock Slough. Our project that basically completes the undergrounding of this project, it involves close partnership with the water district. Again, we've had great collaboration with our colleagues at the Contra Costa Water District, resulted in reaching this agreement where both agencies, we are as a lead agency, will undertake the design and construction of the project and take care of all the related work. The Contra Costa Water District has agreed to reimburse the city $2.2 million, the cost for undergrounding of the pipe, the canal into a pipe under the roadway, which we will then cover all assortment of utilities on top and around it, and plus the roadway. This evening, I want to again acknowledge the great work, collaboration we've done with the Contra Costa Water District. Tonight, Mr. Mickey Saboda, the Assistant General Manager of the Water District, is here joining us just in case Council has any question. This agreement that's presented to you for approval is presented to the Water District Board next week for their approval. So again, this has been a very collaborative process. We certainly intend to continue to work with our colleagues on this project. Again, this extremely complex project, but you will see the design of this project take place this year, and we'll start the construction of that sometimes early next year, and will go on into the following year. That concludes my report. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Do any members of the council have questions? Councilmember Fuller, do you have any questions on the phone?
No.
I have just one follow-up question. So would this road completion be able to happen without the undergrounding of this canal?
The road completion can be, but not really, because the canal still has to be addressed. I mean, right now, the only section of this canal that has not been undergrounded is really at the Cypress, East Cypress Road crossing. If you drive through the Cypress, look to your right, you see kind of an open pool. Look to your left, another open pool. So the pipes have been undergrounded to both north and south, and now we have to kind of close the gap and install the pipes, and then put the roadway on top of it.
Any other questions from council? Any public comments on this item? All right, seeing none, we can start comments, discussions from the council, or I can take a motion.
I move approval of this item.
Second.
All right, we have a first and a second. If Ms. Veronis would do the roll call, please.
Councilmember Meadows.
Aye.
Dr. Fuller.
Aye.
Councilmember Henderson.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shaw.
Aye.
Mayor Williams.
Aye.
The item passes unanimously.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 7, reports. The first one will be 7.1, our city manager.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of the City Council. Wanted to bring attention to a community event happening this Saturday, Art in the Park, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Hopefully it doesn't rain. It looks like there might be rain in the forecast. If there is, I know the recreation team is planning for an alternative, I believe, in the council chambers, but don't quote me on that until we finalize those plans. Also wanted to bring attention to our 25th anniversary party happening on May 4th from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. here at Civic Center Plaza. And also wanted to highlight, as the meeting started with an update from the Oakley librarian, we've made more progress on the new Oakley Library and Community Center project. We've had a second stakeholder meeting that happened last week. Really productive meeting, and as a result of that and the effort being made on that front, both the city website has been updated. The home page includes a link to our Envision Oakley site where you can access information about the city project, but it also links you to the Friends of the Oakley Library website, and their website has also been updated with information about this project. And they have started and kicked off their fundraising effort, which will start ramping up pretty quickly over the next few weeks throughout this calendar year. So that concludes my report, and you'll note item B is the business license update list for business licenses for the month of March. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 7.2A, reports from council liaisons to regional committees, commissions, and boards, and Oakley City Council. Oakley City Council acting as the successor agency to the Oakley Redevelopment Agency. Councilmember Meadows.
Last Thursday, I attended a Contra Costa Transportation Planning Committee meeting. Big presentation was on WETA ferry service, looking at 4 locations, 2 in West Contra Costa County, really 2 in Hercules and Pittsburgh Antioch. Not all 4 will go, if any, but so we had that presentation. That's it.
Vice Mayor Shaw.
I attended Tri Delta Transit, and I will let Mayor Williams report on that. I attended the library subcommittee meeting, but Mr. McMurray already reported on that, and did the ribbon cutting at Willie's Bagels on last Friday. So, yeah.
Councilmember Henderson.
Last Tuesday night on the 2nd, I attended Iron House Sanitation District. They're working on some public education, and we'll be seeing more in the community from them on that. On Thursday the 4th, Contra Costa County held their consortium on the needs for affordable housing and the homelessness in Contra Costa County. That meeting was held in Brentwood, and it was very informative. On Friday the 4th, I attended the ribbon cutting at Willie's Bagels, and it's exciting to have that new business in town. And of course, Friday night we had Friday Night Bites, and it was a little cold for that event. Thank you.
Councilmember Fuller.
Yes. First off, the Association of Bay Area Governments and BAFA, associated with ABAG and others, are in full force to get the $10 billion or $20 billion regional affordable housing bond issue on the November ballot. I think the next report is August 2nd. I will have more when I return of what they're processing. One of the disturbing aspects is that they seem to have a bouncing ball. They don't have a set 10 billion or 20 billion, but they're going to go forward with the regional one, which is, of course, for 9 counties, is going to impact on residents' property tax. With that, AB 1657 is going along just fine. That's sponsored by Assembly Member Buffy Wicks, who apparently is going to take the lead for the Democrats in terms of affordable housing, and she is now toying with more measures to come, which is a little bit frightening because Mayor Arreguín from Berkeley will be joining her on the other side of the legislature on the state Senate floor. So I don't know how that is going to go on. We'll just have to wait and see. So I will have more information regarding that by the next meeting, more detailed information. But to be aware, the regional bond issue is they're combined together. They're a regional committee now. They're moving forward as a region, and now state senate, soon to be state senator Arreguín was endorsed by the Chronicle and the East Bay Times because he brings the regional governments together. So I'm concerned about local control. I will have requests for agenda items.
All right, for my reports, I attended Tri-Delta Transit. We had a lot of discussion about SB 1031. That is a joint bill between Senators Wiener and Wahab. It is a ballot measure that could appear in 2026. MTC is the main driver about it. It's all about regionalizing transportation. And for those familiar with East County, Tri-Delta Transit was started because regional transportation it didn't work to do the bigger centralized transportation out here. Our needs weren't being met. So MTC could choose to do, they're analyzing all the different things. They could choose to do a sales tax, a road toll, or other means to raise funds, including bond measures. The bill would give MTC control over the distribution of state funds, which could be reallocated to the urban core. That does happen even if the voters do not approve the bond measure. So Tri-Delta, along with other regional transportation, are actively opposing that because, that's kind of taking control away from the voters where that money is going to be spent. We did get a presentation. We received 2 drivers got awarded safe driving due to a couple accidents or near accidents that happened. The driver of the bus that was struck by the red light runner in Antioch off Laurel was one of them, and just the day before there was an accident that a driver managed to avoid by another red light runner. The passengers that were impacted were there to honor the driver, and all of us were crying. Driver, everybody. Not Shannon, but... We attended the library stakeholders meeting. Our fabulous city manager took our glory for that. So the mayor's conference. So the program that we received was on stormwater funding options. We did a lot of discussion about there's a municipal regional stormwater permit, which is issued every 5 years. Each reissue of these permits are more costly and stringent than the prior permits. Every city and town in Contra Costa County is a co-permittee on these permits, with the exception of Brentwood and Richmond. They're paying their permits on their own or outside of that. The new permit provisions, the old permits only had 10 provisions when they first began. Today it has 21, and so the speakers were talking about the impacts to municipalities with these new provisions. One of them has to do with unsheltered homeless populations, which I know is kind of a hot button item right now. The municipalities are required to provide a map of where those populations are located and create plans for treating stormwater runoff. So that gets complicated when we have shared jurisdiction with Caltrans and, Water District and borders on all of the others. So there's some complications there. And starting in July, cities will need to document the implementation costs. Right now, there's a $45 million deficit from these unfunded mandates. So the cities and counties need a way to fund this large deficit. They're reviewing funding options, and the funding shortfall will only increase, and potentially we can be exposed to third-party lawsuits due to noncompliance. Interestingly enough, Caltrans was issued a cease and desist order by the Water Board because they have trash on the roadways that causes stormwater issues. It was a very long presentation. Hopefully we'll get more info at the city level as we get more ideas about what different ways we can come up with protecting us from the shortfall. I was appointed to the Delta Protection Commission, which is an important seat, I think, for Oakley to hold with everything that we're trying to do. So I was very happy to get that appointment. We offered an endorsement to continue the library commission, which I moved, and it passed unanimously. We also heard about CCTA receiving a legacy award for innovation. On Earth Day at Oakley Big Break, there's going to be a vegetation management event that you can participate in from 10 a.m. to 12. We also got a report on ABAG. April 18th is the next big vote. Oh, sorry, May 18th is the next big vote for, oh no, April 18th is the next big vote for their BOFA, so that will be something to watch. Okay, I think that was it for my reports. And for future agenda items, item 7.2B, does anybody up here have a request? All right, it sounded like Councilmember Fuller has one.
Actually, I have two. The first one is Mr. Chaddock is correct. Poaching is a large commercial business that decimates the recreation use of our waterways and lands, national parks, and such. As I would like to draft a letter to the Department of Fish and Wildlife to notify them of our predicament. One of the things I understand about the rivers is that the Contra Costa County Sheriff's also has jurisdiction of protection, and so does the United States Coast Guard. So it's practical to send letters to all three of them as to what is occurring in our riverways adjoining our city. So I would ask that to be an agenda item first, and then I have the second one, but let me see where we are on that one.
Would we need like a work session, or is it possible to draft something to present to us? I'm just asking for clarity on, should we bring it back just as a discussion item if somebody seconds it, or is there enough information that we could get letters drafted and then we can discuss those?
I think we have enough information where we could propose a draft letter and ask that to be approved and then sent or modified.
Okay, Councilmember Fuller, will that get to what you're requesting?
Yes, I mean, that's fine. Yes, okay. I agree. I would like it ascertained, and maybe Mr. McMurray already has the answer, but in regards to the Sacramento and San Joaquin rivers and the adjoining waterways, if it can be researched, who I'm sure believe Fish and Wildlife, but if the Contra Costa County and Coast Guard should be notified that we get the same letter addressed to three different entities. But I don't know if that would be appropriate or not, but the Fish and Wildlife for sure. So.
Yes, we could do that research and have that available when we bring back the letter.
Perfect. I would second that. Right. So.
And if I could just add that we add East Bay Regional Parks, because I believe they have jurisdiction over the pathway there.
Well, I agree with that. As well. So, thank you.
Do you have enough information now? Okay, perfect. Okay, and what's your second item, Councilmember Fuller?
Yes, I would like to draft a letter to our state legislatures to revoke or rescind, or however we would word it, Proposition 47. There are other municipalities doing the same. That is the one where if you steal something, go into somebody's house and steal something, the way it really reads, as I understand, if you won't do any prison time, you will do time in state county jail. Unfortunately, the county jails don't have enough space to accommodate that, and they're not getting reimbursed from the state. So basically, nobody's serving any time at all in terms of our retail thefts, our burglaries, and other such items. So I'd like to draft a letter to both our legislators to work on revoking that item or replacing that item or something that will hold people who are stealing millions of dollars out of the retail industry and entering our homes, hold them accountable with some sort of justice mechanism, so to speak. Viable justice system.
Okay, I know that there's, I think, 247 bills right now that are relating to fixing changing, amending, gutting Prop 47, which I think our vice mayor has sat on many of the policy committees.
Yeah, I know that
discussing those.
a lot of the legislators aren't looking to repeal it, reverse it, but there is a lot out there to make some amendments to it. So I would be fine if that would be something that we can start a draft letter to kind of see what that looks like, about our position on it, about supporting some sort of amendment and changes.
Specific to Prop 47?
Yes.
Just want to clarify. Okay.
Yes, specific to Prop 47.
Thank you.
All right, 8.1, work sessions, report to the city council regarding implementation of a social media policy for members of the city council. This will be presented by our city attorney, Derek Cole.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Members of the council, this item comes back at your request. What is included here is a draft ordinance. We're not starting the official ordinance introduction process because I felt like I wanted to take your temperature read and see if what I've done is what you asked for. And if not, then I have time to develop something that was consistent with your request. But this was an item that you requested. We looked at several different social media policies, and just for sake of definition, the city and the PD have their own social media policies. These are official city policies, but what we understood is that the council wanted to see if there was some policy that would govern itself, govern your own social media communications. The difference when that happens is that you all have First Amendment rights. Just like the average citizen, you do not forfeit your First Amendment rights to free expression just because you're an elected official. In fact, you have the same free expression rights as does any person in this city, even a person who is not elected. So the issue that we have is that we cannot do something that is called a prior restraint. Prior restraint is a term of art in First Amendment jurisprudence that basically says government can't generally tell you in advance that you can't say something and can impose consequences in advance. We cannot compel you not to speak. There are some slight exceptions to that that are really not relevant, but the point here is that there really is no way for us as a city to adopt some policy, whether it's a resolution or codified in an ordinance that has some teeth, some enforcement power, to stop you all from saying things on social media. I think most of you probably would think that's a good thing because obviously rules stopping speech from happening are generally not a good thing. But that doesn't mean there aren't consequences if people say things. And I've provided a copy of the most recent Supreme Court decision that was decided this term. As a caveat, you're probably thinking, well, you know, city attorney, it's your job to describe these court cases. Don't just give them to us. Why don't you summarize them? Ordinarily, I would do that, but I think this was a very well-written opinion, and I think if you read the opinion, you'll see just how nuanced it is. But basically, in a 9-0 decision, the Supreme Court said that in some cases, if an elected official uses social media to communicate, he or she may be engaging in government speech or state action and may therefore be liable if they do such a thing as block somebody on their social media or remove a comment or take some adverse action that one of the social media platforms allows. And again, the reason I provided the court case is because if you read it, it really means that there's no clear, bright line rule. We like, and nothing that's black and white that I can say if you do X, Y, and Z, you will cross the line. And if you don't do X, Y, and Z, you won't cross the line. It really comes down to, it all depends on the facts kind of question. So what we have tried to do is working within those confines, which is we can't tell the council members, whether it's you or any future council members, what you can and can't say in advance. But we can also make clear that there are consequences in light of this new Supreme Court case if certain things are done. So if you engage in robust communications on your social media about matters that are involved in city government that may come before you or actually will come before you, one is you may be creating a public record. That's something that we feel that you should know. I think all of you probably do know that. Another thing is that you may be creating what's called a limited purpose public forum. And if people are attracted to that, you may be creating a forum that by law cannot be restricted. And so if you undertake the adverse actions like blocking someone or denying their comments, or not denying their comments, but pulling their comments back while leaving other comments that maybe you like, or maybe you don't, pull back for some legitimate reason, could be a First Amendment violation. Also, there is potential for a meeting. And in fact, I did talk to you about that several meetings ago. It might be last year when I talked about what is when you should and shouldn't communicate with someone who is engaging in social media. There's actually a Brown Act specific statute on that. So if more than one of you engage with a post on social media, that could become a meeting under the Brown Act. So really the idea here was just to have a way of reminding council members that these are the consequences so that you have to think about that. The reality is social media is present. Everyone is using it. All of you probably not only use it now as council members, but it was something you all used in your elections to communicate with prospective voters. And so by all means, it's something that should be encouraged. It's something that's good. But because of the modern era we are in, and because of the pervasiveness and ubiquity of social media, the idea here is just to have these reminders. And the only way I could really think of to create something that was enforceable, quote unquote, was to require that a copy of this ordinance be given to council members before each term. So, if any of you, basically at the beginning of the next term, or if a council member is appointed after a vacancy, you will get a copy, and then you will get a copy every term you serve, even if you've served multiple terms. So that was the idea. So really, I'm looking for direction. Do you want this to be introduced? Do you want it to be introduced with amendments? Do you want something completely different? I'm open to your direction.
Are there any questions? I have one based especially on this Supreme Court case. I think what my concern is I don't want the city paying for somebody's, poor judgment or whatever on social media. So I guess my only question is, how is the city protected? This looks like they went after the individual, but would it change on a case-by-case basis depending on what it is, right? Like if it was a quasi-judicial, would the city be held responsible if somebody was making comments ahead of time that would prejudice?
The question really, so when you say a person could sue the city, a person could sue individual council members, but there's two different types of lawsuits. One is for what we call equitable relief, which is some judgment by a court that says, don't do this, stop doing this. Another is for damages. The only way I could think of in the abstract that the city could be held liable is if a council member said something that was truly defamatory. But California immunities, if the city is sued in that proceeding, the immunities essentially are so broad that even a defamatory malicious statement is ordinarily immunized. I know that sounds odd, but if someone is communicating in a way that is defamatory by law, and someone tries to say that this was an official act of the city would have the broad immunities under California state law. So, as a practical matter, it would be virtually impossible, I think, to hold the city responsible. But that doesn't mean people won't try, and that doesn't mean that lawsuits can't be filed. And so the hope here is that these reminders will basically tell each council member now and into the future, be careful with what you say.
And I don't think it's unusual to have an ordinance regarding social media policies, right? I mean, I didn't ask you to poll our current, neighbors, but
social media, so there are, the difference here is that we are attempting to address your communications, which are on your private social media. So you all have LinkedIn, Facebook, X, Threads, whatever you're on, that you start, that you own, that you have the password to, and that's on your phone and that only you can access. But you're probably talking about things that you do for the city. We have no technical control over that. Whereas the official social media is, ultimately under the direction of our city manager and the staff who are delegated to put out the communications, and then they administer the chat and the comments and everything pursuant to that policy. So it's different. That what you do is unofficial. What the city does is official.
okay. Councilmember Meadows.
That's a great question, because I was going to ask the same thing. I wanted to make sure we didn't have any liability on us. So this is my take on it. I understand why it was asked for, but I also believe in the First Amendment, and we should be able to say, really whatever we want to say. We're accountable to what we say. And there will be some people, I'm sure, that like some of the comments that some of us make, and there's the opposite. And, the comments that we make in social media or, verbally too, reflect back on ourselves, but it also reflects on the city as a whole, city staff. So I think we need to be aware of what we're saying and putting out there when we're doing it. But I think we have the right to do it. I don't have to like some other council members' comments, but they have that right. And but it's also a reflection back on that person. So,
Councilmember Henderson.
Well, when I brought this item up and requested this item, really what I was looking for and what I was hoping to see in this is there are some guidelines. There is what the Brown Act says we can do, and that if one council member's made a comment, we can't like it, or we can't give them a thumbs up, or we can't disagree with them on this. And from what I've read, even on this, that if I decided to make a separate post on the same topic, I've now turned this into a serial meeting. So having those guidelines for the 5 of us up here and the future of us, so both the public understands what we can do and can't do, and what council members have. And that was my reason for wanting to see this policy come forward.
Councilmember Fuller, do you have any questions or comments?
Yes, well, I have a question, then I'll have comments, but Mr. Cole, as I understand it, and the way I'm ready, is it Linky and versus B. Freed? Am I saying that right, Linky?
Yes, Linky.
Okay, Linky B. Freed pretty well sums up what is my feelings, is that people have, council members have not forfeited their First Amendment rights, can talk, can go forward. But my understanding is that if we say, hey, as a council, as an official government action, we together vote on an agenda item to censure or squash any comment from a particular council member, that council member can now sue the city for violating Linky versus Freed, v. Freed, and other compensation for trying to stifle the First Amendment rights. So the city would be liable from the individual, not the individual necessarily from contested constituent, but if the city tries to officially squash a council member, that council member could file suit in federal or state court. Am I correct or not? Or you could explain it?
No, that's not correct. So the Linky case only dealt with the issue of whether particular elected officials' actions on social media were state action. That if something is state action, then that means that First Amendment protections kick in. If something is not state action, then the First Amendment doesn't reach that conduct. So the court was only addressing the issue of, do we treat these communications and these actions on this social media as the actions of government? The issue of damages was not there. I did provide a summary some meetings ago about the issue of censures, and the court there basically said that a censure does not violate the First Amendment rights of the censured party generally, unless there's some sort of punitive measures attached to it. I cannot see any basis for damages against the city from one council censuring another council member because that's essentially the nature of politics. But that's not the question that's presented tonight. The question really is, do you want to go forward with this policy, even though it's not it doesn't have a lot of teeth, but do you want to do that or do something else? But damages and other things are not what's addressed in this policy.
Okay, well then, in terms of answering other council members, I agree with Councilmember Meadows that the comments are reflective of that council member. I agree that they are public comments. I agree I am not averse to having my comments public, and I make them public. There's no reason to hide them if I'm putting them out. So it is a reflection on me or a reflection on another person that goes through. I am concerned. We keep saying, well, we have to protect city staff. And this city, 4 years ago, was just in turmoil because it was the optics. And as I mentioned, I was accosted, one time injured by the city manager because I was not giving good optics. And the city realized that and didn't like it, and rightly so. We don't cover city staff. We do supervise city staff. We do commend them when they are doing good work. But if there's boo-boos, we have to kind of stand up and say that's a boo-boo too. So the people have confidence. The people now, in my estimation, have much more confidence in our city hall, in the city council, and they understand that nothing will be held in secret or just thrown on them 3 days before it comes up. So I believe that is the best route to go. I appreciate what Mr. Cole has done. The Linky case, Linky v. Freed case, made national news, as you're aware. It's a big case that it came about, and to put it together, I think that what's there is good. What's together is the policy is good. It restates Linky v. Freed, and we are operating within the spirit of the law and put it there, and we go forward from there. So I agree with in terms of the resolution as presented by Mr. Cole or by staff.
Vice Mayor Shaw?
I don't see this at all about infringing on anyone's First Amendment rights the way it's written, so I like that because that's important to me. I do, however, think it is a good idea to have something like this that when a new council member comes on, there may be things they don't think about. They take their Facebook private page, make it public, or like I did, I kept my private page and then made a public page for running for election, and then I kept it open. And so having things in here like blocking somebody could potentially be a problem for you. I know there are council members in our county that have blocked people on their Facebook page. I get screenshots of it locally and, farther out. Also, the serial meeting comments about the Brown Act. And so I think it's a good idea to not only get it when you come in, but a reminder, because you get complacent, you start kind of forgetting. You just kind of go to your day-to-day. I think we all are free to say what we want on social media, but we do work together, and so, hey, maybe we shouldn't like or dislike somebody's something. So I don't mind the way this is written. I think it was well thought out. I think we can't really put something with teeth in it, but there needs to be a reminder. So if something is done, that we can kind of go, hey, remember this, this ordinance that we did, and it's, if we do it, and obviously it's got to go through all that steps, but that we shouldn't do that. So I don't have a problem with the way it's written personally.
Okay, this is only a discussion item for council input and to provide direction to staff. There is no vote required, but do you want clearer direction whether we want to move forward with?
Yeah,
Richard.
Mayor Williams?
Yeah.
I did have one more comment, if I may, in response to as I do post, I think it's important that we realize we're not quoting for the city. I know when I write, I like to use the words in my perspective, in my opinion, in my what I observed. This is what it is, unless I can substantiate it either by some form of dialogue minutes or document. But personally, I like that idea when we say, in my opinion, this is the way it is. I'm not saying that it's official unless it's official vote on the action that took place, and then I can report it. But that's just a sidebar. So thank you.
So really, you don't have to take a vote. The question is, do you want me to formally introduce this? If I formally introduce it, you're not bound to approve it, but it will start the two-step process for an ordinance.
I mean, I'm for that. I think clarity, and I think as Vice Mayor Shaw was saying, like you do get complacent. So I think it's a great reminder of, the bounds that we have, especially like as things change and update. I would imagine if we had an ordinance in place as they start modernizing the Brown Act, that would trigger that to also update, correct? If we have an ordinance, rather, yeah. Do we have a consensus on that, though?
I'm good with that.
It works for me.
Yep.
So I've heard that you all want to formally bring back an item that will formally introduce this, and then you can deliberate anew then. Thank you. We'll do that.
All right, great. Moving on to item 9, closed session. This is a conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 D1. County of Contra Costa et al. And City of Oakley versus Monsanto Company et al. Contra Costa Superior Court Case Number C2202818. Schaefer's versus BNSF Railway Company et al. And City of Oakley Contra Costa Superior Court Case Numbers C22-01552 and C22-01555. McAllister versus Mokel et al. And City of Oakley, Contra Costa Superior Court Case Number C23-00834. City of Oakley versus Skelsey, Contra Costa Superior Court Case Number MSN 16-1620. City of Oakley versus Rodriguez, Contra Costa Superior Court Case Number N23-1091. Those are our closed session items. The next after the closed session, the meeting will be adjourned. The next regular meeting will be held Tuesday, April 23rd, 2024, beginning at 6:30 p.m. in the Oakley City Council chambers, and the community is invited to attend.